Okay guys, we're back again, and it turns out we're not the only ones that are back because apparently Tankhead 666 was actually recently released from prison. Now if you don't know the story about him or who he is in general, let me fill you in. Now I already made an entire video diving into his past on my main channel, Twist the World, but to sum it up here, he's mostly known for being XXXTentacion's bodyguard, as well as being a member of Members Only, and somewhat of a rapper, although not a very good one. He mostly rose to prominence after XXXTentacion passed away because of course a lot of people were blaming him for not being there when the fatal shooting took place, but he would go on to talk about how unfortunately X was his own man, he did his own thing, and he wasn't able to control and protect him in that situation. He's also primarily responsible for getting people to stop spreading around the video of X's passed away body, and he went on to continue to defend X after his passing by going against anyone who would dare to speak down on his name, and became a very beloved figure because of that. But even with Tankhead being such a strong advocate for stopping gun violence, he himself also got involved in it because him and his manager ended up hitting up another rapper, getting into a bit of an altercation, and that rapper ended up passing away alongside his manager in a shooting. It's not certain exactly how it went down. I don't think Tankhead was actually the one to end the man's life, but seeing as how he was there and it went down in Florida, if you're an accessory to a murder, you end up getting hit with second degree, and apparently Tankhead knew that because he ended up trying to flee the state. However, he ended up getting caught on camera at the restaurant that the shooting took place at, and they were able to catch him at the airport, and after that he ended up going to prison, and for the last few years we haven't heard a whole lot from him because after all, if you're fighting a second degree murder charge, it's most likely that you're going to go away for a very long time. So you can see why people were very surprised when in 2024 Tankhead supposedly got out and everybody started talking about it on both Twitter and Instagram. I initially saw the story break on 777, shout out to them, and they basically said that XXXTentacion's bodyguard Tankhead has now been released from prison. And the reason that 777 thought that he was free is because he actually ended up creating his own Twitter account and tweeting out, "Went from eating to eating commissary," and then somebody ended up responding to that saying, "Welcome back, it's time for you to be an uncle in Gekime's life." Now I'm not exactly sure why this Twitter user thought that Tankhead was free, but I feel like this is where all the stories came from. This one person with a verified checkmark said that he was free, so everybody started running with it online. And everybody was surprisingly happy about this. I mean, I know Tankhead is kind of a figure in the whole trap metal community. Being close to X definitely helps him get a lot of clout, and he was very beloved at one point, but people got to keep in mind this guy went away for second degree murder and then tried to flee from the scene, yet we're celebrating that he's coming home. I mean, I hate to see anybody be in prison, but I do think it's kind of a double standard when a rapper ends up going to prison for committing a murder and then everybody wants them to come free, but when somebody ends up murdering a rapper, everybody wants the murderer to rot in jail forever. I feel like it's bad no matter who does it, but I think it shows just how much of a legacy XXXTentacion left behind, that anybody who's somewhat associated to him seems to have a free ride no matter what they do. Besides Kid Trunks, people really hate on Kid Trunks, and I feel like I'm going to do a video on that soon, so stick around. But anyways, this went on for a couple days. Everybody's celebrating Tankhead finally coming home, saying that he needs to collab with people like King and everybody in the trap metal community and get right back to music, but well, it turns out that it wasn't true in the first place. Because only a couple days later, 777 ended up posting another story saying XXXTentacion's bodyguard Tankhead is still in prison. And this is all because Tankhead once again tweeted out saying, "Never said I was free, I only created a Twitter to interact with my fans and supporters on a personal level." After that, he continued on to say, "The face you make when the vlogs say you free and you still sitting in your cell," and then he ended up posting a picture of Gucci Mane. After that, he goes on to say, "This goes to show how intense my core is and how supportive my fans are. Y'all did that. We here today stronger than ever. You can't us." So it turns out that Tankhead isn't actually free. He's more so on his Tory Lane shit. He has a phone in prison and apparently he's allowed to tweet stuff out. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't think Tankhead is ever coming home. This is a similar situation to somebody like YNW Melly or Tankhead, where people really want these guys to come home, but they ended up doing pretty terrible things, and I don't think the justice system is going to let them go just because they might make fire music. And in Tankhead's case, he doesn't even make fire music. Ooh, ooh. But before you finish this story off, I do want to mention there is one rapper out there that definitely wants Tankhead to be free more than anybody else, and his name is Antichrist, and the reason for that is because he actually ended up paying Tankhead for a feature a couple years ago that was worth $1,500. And I have a couple DMs between him and Tankhead's manager, I think, or somebody on his team saying, "I paid Tank for a feature before everything went down. Do you think there's an alternative that we could work out? I'd rather wait things out, but open to suggestions." The person representing Tankhead goes on to say, "Tank said to drop drop your number and he got you. And he said, stay up. He said, just sent big homie a letter. I'm working 80 hours a week. My only day to myself all day Wednesday, but I got Monday and Friday afternoons. He then goes on to say, love Tank. What's an email to send the open to? He then shows some DMs between him and Jay Green because apparently Jay Green was also going to be on the song with the two of them. He says, I apologize for the lag, knocking out other features, so I'm behind. Pull up to the show. He says, I wish I could make it. I just played Wolf in Tampa. I know it's going to be huge in LA. How we livin'? Jay Green then goes on to say, is that dude Tankhead ever going to do his part? Was trying to do this all at once. He says, I'm going to have him send it to me, but he was waiting for you to get your part done first. I got you. He said, I'm mixing it, so I need his now. Antichrist then goes on to say to Tankhead that Jay Green is changing his story, but when somebody gets busy, they get busy, so hurry up and sing your verse. After that, we have a conversation where it shows Antichrist sending the money to him. He ended up sending $200 here, but for whatever reason, it was pending. So overall, it seems like a cluster. They end up going back and forth a little bit. It seems like he only ended up paying him $200. He told me $1,500, but I'm not really sure if that included Jay Green and the other verses, the mixing and mastering. But either way, he never ended up getting that verse from Tankhead. So that leads me to ask, what do you think about this? Do you think that Tankhead is a scammer? Do you think that he was going to send him the verse, but he ended up going to prison so he couldn't? Or do you think that he was going to do the dash in the first place? Because after all, there are a lot of underground rappers who would do things like this. And I know a lot of people don't care about scamming in the underground. They say that everybody should know that if you're giving money to a rapper, you're probably going to get scammed. It's pretty common knowledge, but why is it like that? Why do we accept this time and time again? We just turn a blind eye every time a rapper pulls a scam and says, you know what, rappers are always scamming. But I don't feel the same way. I feel like if we're ever going to change the culture of the underground, we have to start calling people out for scamming. And I'm not going to fully call out Tankhead because after all, it is a very weird situation with him. But trust me, there are some other rappers out there who have done very similar things and they are not in prison. They have no reason to run off with the money, yet they do it. So I'm going to start calling that out on this channel. So if you want to see that, stick around and see who the scammers really are, and maybe we can actually rectify some of these situations, or maybe everybody's just going to get a lot more upset with me for exposing them. But it is what it is. All I can say is free burn Kaz. He didn't do nothing wrong. He should definitely be home right now. And for Tankhead, well, he's a cool guy, but you know, maybe he got what he deserves. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and if you like this type of content, you might also like my main channel, Twisted World. We're trying to get to 20K over there right now. We make some bigger, longer videos, so if you're into that, definitely subscribe. But besides that, see you in the next one. Bye.